Okay.
Okay. As in,
Okay.
effective way ako unscripted. Kanang just ask me question and I can just
Yeah, sure.
Kay, I hosted once kining sa Philippine Guild of Watercolorists twice day. And
Ah,
then the first two, it was live. So,
oh,
okay ra. Ang third na recorded, kay more on ang technical support na lahat. Murag, na-conscious kayo ba nga live?
yeah.
So, dili kay siya ni work
So
na
we're
ko.
live now, by the way.
Okay.
Live now.
May
So,
hapon.
okay, mo introduce ako sa akong kagalingon, okay?
Sige pa lang.
Hello there, negosyantes. I'm here, Georgie Celia Villamor, with my guest, first guest sa live, Miss Ethel Rida Pajao, right?
Yes, ma'am. May
The
hapon.
marketing director of arts, Des
Yes, art
Arts,
room.
Artroom, okay. And also the proprietor of Miss E's Home
Yes.
Baked Goodies. Okay, so she's actually a graduate of the Kapatid Mentor Me Micro Enterprise Program of the DTI. So before we talk about business, let's first kumustahon sa nato kung naunsa na si Miss E during this time, this interesting time that we have right now. Kumusta na? Murag napaputol na ba kag buhok?
Wala, good. As you can see, ni taas ako buhok mo ni times two kasi I had like bob cut.
Same
Oh,
here, same here. We both met actually first time
last,
January early this year, I think.
I think around
Yes,
November,
mubo
ma'am.
pa tagbuhok. Mubo
Oh,
pa kay tagbuhok. And right now, obviously, wag yung may napaputol, but we're trying to look neat as possible
yeah.
for this interview. Kumusta naman ka, Miss E? When I first interviewed you, you had this uh, art
Event.
room. Yes, you
Yes,
were handling this art room. You were the marketing director. You're still the marketing
yes,
director, of course. And
yes.
how's the house business?
Okay. Thank you for asking and giving this chance to share how we've been. I think it's a lot better now with the other business, which is with the Des Art Room. A lot better because if I look back like 6 months, 7 months ago, that was like the onset of the pandemic, no, February to around May.
Yes.
We felt everything because we sell non-essential goods. It's art materials, and there were a couple of not just days but months that we couldn't ship at all because authorities will not let us.
Uh,
And then when the doors were open, then all these courier advised us that there's 15 days delay and so on and so forth. And in other words, COVID is the game changer of all this. But I would say, I think at the same time, I was in a perfect situation to learn something because I would say luckily, I don't know how whether luck works, but I got into the KMME program. So I recall, and I would say when is the best time to learn business? Because I did mention that I never studied business. My husband and anyone from family, nobody studied business. We just jumped into the business
you
thinking
were
that
an
we
arts
could.
graduate then? Arts
Um,
graduate.
comms, a mass
Ah,
com. I'm a
mas,
mass com.
okay.
Yes. Tabian man kay ko, ma'am.
Come on.
More na siya. And
Uh,
so two major events in life happened. the pandemic, we found ourselves in a pandemic, and then I got into the KMME program, which started all of this. And I realized it's more like, yes, the pandemic clumped us here and there, but at the same time, it unlocked something else from myself and from the family. That is the baking business. So Murabag, for the past 6 months, no, more than 6 months now, the business carried on. Now we're able to slowly ship uh, art materials. But between the Des Artroom business and the newly opened business, which is only 6 months old, by the way, I would still say nga ang non-essentials still unstable. But we take this year as our sabbatical. I kept on saying to my mentors and classmates at KMME ba na this is the perfect time to learn things that we usually don't pay attention to, like look into their business model. I did mention earlier na because of the KMME, we were forced, we were tasked and forced to come up with our business model canvas.
By the way, how did you get into the KMME? I know
Ah,
that I encouraged you. I
yes.
remember doing that, but how did you get
How-
in?
um, yeah, like when we first met, you did mention about the KMME, but even before that, almost like a year ago, when I learned about the program, immediately I told myself I should be in that program because I just want to learn the ropes. But it took me like almost 2 years to get in. I saw it. I saw the program posted in Facebook, and all I did, I messaged them and they guided me. It went on smoothly, like smoothly as far as the guidance, like what to submit, when's the deadline, and all. But I would say, really, maybe this is our year because out of, if I'm not mistaken, there were over 100 applicants, like from the region, over 100. And we were shortlisted to 50 and then to 25. And then Cebu is, I think, only six of us.
Mhm.
So if
That was
if
the first online session,
and yes, it
online
was,
course for the
yes,
KMME. Yes,
correct.
because
And I'm really honored to be part of the first class, first batch.
first class
Um,
batch. Yes.
that's why I would always tell myself that if it's meant to be, it will happen. Because there 2 years ago I applied. I just can't. I got no. I applied, but I just can't complete even the orientation, and also it didn't work. And then it's irony of irony because it's pandemic and it seems that you can do a lot of things, but this pandemic just made me busy and busier every day because of this art room, and then I had a KMA class, and then because there's this new business, which is the baking business. So life has been challenging, just like the rest, but I choose to say na there's growth, tremendous growth for myself and the team at Des Art Room and the new team for Miss E's Home Bake
Mhm.
Classics because of all this. Yeah.
I'm just curious, how did you come up with the recipes for the Miss E's home baked goodies? Kasi
Okay.
nainteresado ko atong squash cake.
Okay. Just a
Oh,
little background. If you check our socials, Facebook and Instagram, I stated it clearly that we are a baker found in a pandemic because I have been home baking, but the business side really started during the pandemic. And that was when friends started to ask, "Are you selling cakes?" And said, "Dili, lagi ko mamaligya." But then it got many and many. So I decided to, okay, let's just try. As far as the recipe, so I would say heirloom recipes. Put it simply, na you remember I shared that we lived in Singapore for more than a decade.
yes,
So when
yes.
we were in Singapore, I lived with my sisters are also with me. It was a challenge to meet together, but whenever I mentioned about baking, we simply gather. It's like no questions, we gather. So we developed our so at Miss East, the very first cake that we started selling is banana cake. That's a 10 more than 10-year-old recipe, by the way. And I would like to take this opportunity to credit my sister, the youngest in the family. There are three of us because the original recipe is by my sister. She's still in Singapore, and I told her that I got the recipe from her, and thankfully, Cebuanos liked it. I don't. I
She's
wasn't.
the baker in your family, or she
No,
also.
we no nobody's like trained baker. We did not even grow up having an oven. It's just when we lived in Singapore, there's access to good baking supplies and everything. Um, here's another line again. I would always say, do not be scared in trying things when, especially when tools are in front of you, because that's the case for myself and my siblings. So the first recipe is a recipe by my sister, and I just tried to like improvise it, tweak it here and there. But my basis for choosing flavors, I took time to research. My research included like three factors. um, One is I ask myself, what's the existing offer in the market?
Mm.
And I know banana cakes is there. Like we have, and I will mention, I love Leona's banana cakes. I always my go-to banana cakes before I started baking my own for public is Leona's, and still I like their cakes. There's Leona's and a lot more. Then I ask, what else can I offer? Like, how else can we present banana cake? How else can you appreciate banana cake? And that moves me to number two. Like, my number two is, okay, I'll do banana cake, but how do you present it? This is about packaging now.
Mm.
And I'm a person who believes that good food is like a magnet. So whenever you have food on the table and it's delicious, people will just come like flow in, and then when you're full in your stomach, you have good food, you seem to flow well. You engage into conversation. That's second point. And third is, um, I want to offer something that's healthier choice, because if you look around, there's just tons of sugar desserts, like sugar-based desserts. There are
Mm.
cakes with frosting and all. I mean, nothing wrong with them, but it's just my personal like choice that I want to offer cakes that do not have icing, and I
Mm.
want to offer cakes that will use ingredients that's easy to find in Cebu, um, and no preservatives, but just taking advantage of the natural flavor of the main ingredient, which is for banana. And then about the squash cakes. So for me, is we started a business like officially when I registered with DTI, and again, I will say, it hasn't changed, Ma'am Georgie.
Mm.
DTI will always make life easier for whoever wants to start a business, because when I decided to register it, I had trouble. I did it myself, but I had trouble figuring out the simple as how to call the name and all. And then I messaged DTI via Facebook, and then someone assisted me. And in that same day, I even reached out to you, and then you referred me to one of the staff. And that same night, I managed to register my business, and thankfully, in I think a month after,
Mm.
my business permit in the city started, the process started to kick in, and now I'm fully registered. Like all the necessary registrations is done in a matter of, I completed it in a matter of like 3 to 4 months.
Mm.
Imagine, looking back, I even tell myself, never did I imagine myself setting up a business during a pandemic. Never. But it
Yeah, I was
happened.
even surprised. You invited me to taste one of your goodies.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
You were
um,
impressed, huh? Did you learn along the way how to cook, or were there
the
test
banana cake,
subjects?
the banana cake, I've baked it like for more than 10 years. That's like a family recipe. The squash cakes, it was trial and error. And I had like, I think I baked like 5, 6 times. I started with loaves, squash loaf cakes. And after 5 times, the consistency is good, but the output is not the kind of cake output that I wanted. So I said, I think my recipe does not work as a loaf. So I changed to cupcake. My realization is, um, you do what makes you feel happy. For food business, perhaps, is if you think it's yummy and your family likes it, then there's a good reason for you to open to share it to public. Oh, I think my that's my dog.
Okay.
He was
Ay, by the
having
way, speaking of your dog, cute ka siya.
Simon Glow
Moon and
and
red.
Lamp. So I have three now: Moon Glow, Lamp Black, and Red Jasper. These dogs are named after watercolors
Ooh,
from
that's
our
nice.
other business. Yeah.
There's
I'll,
a color such as
hmm?
Mundo.
Yeah, Moon Glow is a watercolor name.
Who's beside you right now?
No, she's at the door, naghilak. Ako lang
Ah, okay.
pasudlon. Kajat, ma'am, ha? Ako pasudlon.
Yes.
That's it, naghilak. Ay, sorry. I'm in the studio, mga god. This is where my husband paints.
Kibaw ka part yun na sa imong appeal ang marketing. Wow, hello Munglo. Hi. Part yun na sa imong marketing ang imong mga dogs kay murag mas appealing ang imong cakes
Hello,
because of your dogs.
hello. Sa good afternoon, Cebu. O, sige, diha na ka.
Hello,
Ang
hello. Hello. Hello, hello, Munglo, Munglo. Asa na siya? Murag foreigner
husky.
dating.
Husky. Husky.
How did you obtain husky? The dog nga husky.
Siberian Husky. Na my friend, akong husband nga ga-breed. So we got her from a friend.
Oh, okay.
My
Murag
husband likes siya gid ang naanad nga na ay pets and dogs. Nagdako siya nga na. They have dogs, chicken, and pig nga naas balay. Sa balay magsulod ba?
tumhilig gid siya animals. Of
Siya.
course ikaw, no? Because
Dili ko, wala ko nagdako nga na ay pet sa balay. In fact, mahadlok ko nga, dili na ko hate ang dogs. Mahadlok lang gyud ko. I didn't know how to approach dogs. But when Moonglow
game.
came, sab akong kinabuhi. Kay karon all dogs that I see, ma-feel na nako nga, hala, na baka nasligi kaon because we want them to eat on time and all. And I realized nga animals, they have feelings. Like
Yes, of
I
course.
have dogs and we have cats.
Okay,
Um,
kita ang mga photos sa imong cats, ha?
kay during the pandemic,
Photos.
so I was painting sa Miss Georgie. So I was
Oh,
painting before started the baking business. And I had that cat always with me. Like I take picture and then we call her Ming Ming. Naalam siya diha sa video sad nako. She wasn't she wasn't pregnant then. This was around April. So a lot of things happened to us. We had a business and we became parents to three cats and one more dog. So I have now three dogs and five cats altogether.
wow. What a big family. Family of fur babies.
Lagi, nara siya dito sa akong kilid. Kaya ang husky, ganahan na siya na ay tao sa iyang palibot ba?
Also, tell me about katong group gay nimo. You talked about this art group that
Yes, yes.
with murag
Cebu,
professional sila
mhm.
and you
Cebu
try to
Watercolor Society. The
yeah.
group is called Cebu Watercolor Society.
Nangimbitar gani ka nako,
Yes,
remember?
because there was an exhibit. Yeah.
And the
Um,
pandemic happened, so wag ito na.
Kuan na gito siya, best timing sa event, and happy to share that it was like first of its kind, hosted by Cebu. And the group still exists, of course. In fact, they are now planning to do something meaningful for everybody, labi na sa mga into arts and watercolor for next year. The group wants to promote watercolor art, and not just that, they want to promote Cebu City um, as a destination or a place that could host events for artists, like not just for Cebuanos, but although it's pandemic, pero we adapt man no, sa new normal. So even online, they are planning to host activities online for
Now may
all
coming events.
ga plan sila. Another exhibition again, and of course during the exhibition period, there will be activities. In fact, my husband at Des Artroom, when the pandemic happened around Feb, March, April, May, for straight 2 3 months, like weekends, we conducted free online watercolor classes. So we
Mm,
hosted it in our social media, and the class is like an hour length. And for the first painting subjects, I think we dedicated it for our frontliners.
mm,
So hopefully, karong, oh, so this is now back to action plans after KMME.
mm.
That's why I said
Sana sa imong na-learn paghimog action
yes,
plan.
because when like mid of the program, we were told to start preparing for our action plans, business improvement plans. And I thought it will be complicated because before joining KMME, I would always think of business model. I would always think of it as very big, like up there, like it's just in the cloud idea. But I realized in a real business sense, dili ra ba gyud di ay, because it will literally identify, it will just zoom into urgent areas of concern. And that's how I learned it. What are the immediate areas of concern in your business in this area, and then you move on to what's the current situation, and then next column is improvement plan. Yun ana naman di ay nakatabang yun siya sa ako kay again
It wasn't that complicated.
it's not. Before the program, wala ko ma-overwhelmed just hearing the word business plan because by the way, I'm not a good planner, so I needed the training. Para
More of an
mahimong,
artist ka. I saw your work, ha?
yes,
More of
yes,
an artist ka.
yes. The baking, mo na ang kini sa baking area. It
By
seems
the way,
like,
I like your packaging sa imong baked
oh,
goodies.
thank you.
I'm
Uh,
impressed. Ang
um,
makita gid nga artist gini ang nag-bake siguro.
the that was the third point di ay sa ato ang baking business ba nga good food. I want the food to be something celebrate and treat your food with dignity. Like you just don't not even appreciating the food in front of you. That's one. And I want the person receiving it happy when you open the bag. It has to have like some colorful sides to it, texture. And I told myself, I'll stick to environment friendly materials. So mo nang ingon ato ang ako ang packaging, it has the jute rope, and even the way my idea of the string and the paper, it's double purpose para banana cake, so it has to be sealed, di ba? So itahay dili nimo mahurot ang loaf, ma-reuse nimo ang wrap niya, string lang nimo gamit sa jute string. So it's not just like aesthetics, it looks good, but you can reuse the materials to keep the freshness of your cake. So a lot of things were considered. Yeah.
Must say improvements now that you know how to make a business plan and all other things nga gitudlo sa KMME. Unsay effect sa imong business, sa imong tan-aw nimo, unsay na result
Um, my challenge before and even now is kining inventory bitaw because I have online and offline, and I can move away from that because I have events.
mm,
But before KMME, um, I don't know why I didn't think about it that I can even use like one solution for all. So that was the first action plan good immediately, because if delete na ko siya ma-consolidate like real time, it will cause trouble sa customers, and it will be like counterproductive on our end because we'd have to check on two records. So KMME taught me to consolidate. Still not the perfect, like we already did that. Para lang seamless siya, but here and there, napagin siya yung mga his and miss. But at least we were made to think that way, and pwede gyud ko may ma-force gyud kog himo ani ba kay I presented this, and of course you don't just present ideas for the sake of presenting, but you have to implement it. And so we are excited for 2021 when we are ready to, and hopefully we can start hosting events na gani. When we are
mm.
ready to go out and host events, even if it's limited number of people lang, um, we can present and we can be more ready, like as far as simple as inventory. dili na kayo troublesome sa amo to check what's my inventory like online and offline, because mo gina ako ang weight amo problem before, number one. And second concern was all our planned events na cancel, like for the entire year
For the entire 2020,
2020, as in
Kansas.
okay, kay face to face man amo ang workshops among
Ako yung malkan siya to when it was,
not, yes ma'am, kay we paid like for venue. I have an event, supposed to be an event in Manila. I've secured and paid venue, hotel, bookings, some artists, logistics, like
naman
travel.
ay down payment yun basta booking.
Yes, yes, and um, we booked it just before the government started to announce that you cannot do this, you cannot. Had it been booked like days, just days after the government made that announcement, I think pa-consider pa gani ang full refund nako. But wala na. Like for example, the air ticket of our master artist, because there's supposed to be one coming. Um, Matter of days lang na book siya, hasta ang ako ang iyahang hotels, tulog ka rooms, wala na, dili na posible ang full refund. So I incurred charges for that. But I suppose that's how life is. The one thing I learned from KMME is the difference between a businessman and an entrepreneur entrepreneur. And I didn't even know that there is a difference between the two until sa KMME. Businessman is more like, okay, how
By the
much?
way, speaking of entrepreneur, I
Yes.
know it's not an easy path. So I know that you have challenges na face nimo, but you made it through.
Yeah.
Unsa ning mga kuan challenges nga para nimo na overcome nimo
Mm-hmm.
unya? How did you overcome it?
I think like sa KMME when we started, that's one of the first lessons, valuable lessons na learn ako nga, the mind setting. That was our first subject, mindset of sa business pa. That there is a difference and you have to identify, you have to know who you are. Are you a businessman or entrepreneur? Because
What's the difference?
there is, now I know, businessman,
ikaw.
businessman will just say, okay, I am selling this, how much do I get? But an entrepreneur would say, oh, there is a need here. Let's find a solution. You don't start thinking of profit right away because an entrepreneur thinks long term. If you're just a businessman, you just want to get, profit, but
Profit.
you don't think beyond after selling. If you're an entrepreneur, you think beyond selling, making your first sell. Like for example, for now I have to think of two for my two businesses. One is for Des Artroom and one is for the sagging. However, say we'll fight COVID with sagging on right hand. And on the left hand will be the painting materials for Des Artroom, on the right hand will be sagging. So for these two, I would always, after the program, um, I started thinking like, okay, after one buys paints from me, how do I keep this person like, how do I make sure that this person comes back? If I'm just a businessman, I would say, oh, thank you for buying. Thank you for buying one banana cake. Thank you for
Short term.
buying. Yeah, but if you're an entrepreneur, you think in full circle. Um, you think of what's the need of this customer. And then after that is how do you want to make the journey more unforgettable for the two of you so that you can continue the journey. Anak ko nga part excited sa business improvement plan because I think I spent fair bit of time repackaging our offers. I did mention sa ako ang presentation nga, now that we have the food business and then the arts business, one expression, my expression to adapt to change is to marry the two. Now that I can't host my workshops in a real physical cafe, I can still do it online. The idea now, and I tried it already, but the full package should be summer 2021. I started the word. No, I did not start the word, but the idea is virtual cafe. I think someone has started the word
Wow.
virtual cafe. So literally, virtual cafe means we will paint together online, and
Yes.
the offer is it's still the same as when we do workshops in a cafe, because before the pandemic, our workshops we always look out for
Yeah.
cafe.
So you
That's
mean
what.
you can do artwork while you're having coffee by
Yes,
yourself
yes,
with the
yes,
other
exactly.
participants online,
Yes,
like
and
this, like what we have right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's as simple as you register, and then the registration fee has that option for you if you want. I don't want to bundle it na mapugos bitaw sila nga kaon sa kusi mong pagkaon Miss E. No, I don't want to go that way. I want people to find to have the option to choose. So the registration would have an option for this participant to just register for the workshop, and plus food, and of course the food.
Nahimo
Uh,
na na Miss E.
yes, but it's not like, yes, but it started with friends lang. Like
Ah,
I
eh,
it,
tanong ta ko mo join mo kung ano ang tako
summer
next year na lang.
February, because February is National Arts Month, so
Ah,
I have a schedule.
I want to know if I'm really an artist deep
Yes,
down inside.
you can join, and
There's
you
an
can
artist in every person now.
I think so. Like you
Right?
just express it differently. Kay na magid tay kada usa misig mayon pa ka og I've never held a brush, I have never drawn. My husband would, who's the artist between the two of us, my husband would always say nga, everybody's an artist. Like if you notice when you were young, we like to draw, but the challenge is how to stay as an artist. So ako, dugay ko na nakatuon og watercolor. It took me like I don't know, 13 years, 12 years. Una gid ko nagsugod og paint ba. So
Mm.
going back to the business, lessons learned, like what are the valuable lessons I learned. Mo to usa nga, I learned to ask myself, who am I? Am I a businesswoman, or how do I see myself in the community as someone in the business world, like doing something in the business. So I'd like to be an a conscientious entrepreneur, um, who will help address needs of the creatives, because naman pa na ang side good creatives, by providing them. Oh, this is one thing that I was like asked a couple of times by my panel and my mentor, like, what's your mission? Vision? What? Who are you as a company? That's Artroom. Um, and when I was asked that question, I also asked myself as the proprietor of Miss E. So I told your team, okay, I got in because of this art room, but actually I applied it for my two businesses, because
Uh,
the sagging business, the home baking business, is already ongoing. In fact, it's good because when I joined the program, it was still a baby. It still is a baby. So I'm able to apply the questions to a fresh offer, and I'm hoping that next year we can even be more ready to present our products sa baking ba. Okay, we are more or less prepared. We went through the KMME principles, uh, and use it to our advantage. So Mona, second lesson is the first one is on uh, knowing you as an entrepreneur, what's your core values. Second is about the business improvement plan, that it may sound so big and overwhelmed. You can be overwhelmed thinking like, oh, I have to think of the entire business and
mm.
really look into every pages and all sides of the business, when in fact KMME taught us to zoom into urgent concerns for every area, and then look into the existing situation, and then start planning what's your improvement plan.
By the way, somebody wants to ask me what are your plans now for 2021 and
Hello,
beyond.
I'm 2021
And
beyond.
I know that you're planning to hire more people.
Yeah, we're still a small business. That's how I see
Mm.
ourselves. But of course,
Unsa
goal
ning
of
harm
that.
people sa imong desk arts room
Yeah, we
or
are hiring both for both. For Des Artroom, I already mentioned that we are hiring one or two because I can't be in all places. Like I cannot be in all like in multiple meetings at the same time. So I need another Ethel who can do what I'm doing, like engage
marketing?
artists, marketing, and not just marketing, but who
Anya
can
naminaw nato nga interesado mo apply ba?
miski pandemic.
Maski pandemic. How about this kuan katong imong home baked goodies? Unsang type of person ang ganahan nimong
um,
PR?
I have one, and I just hired one just for this. So one is we treat him as full time na gani. So
As you already have one. You're
I
planning to
have one. No, na na ma'am.
ana nag
Nalagay na siya na ko, na
you're
gyud.
not planning to hire more.
Hopefully next year, pag budako na gyud ang yield.
More of a cook ang imong gipangita or
Baking assistant and
baking
baking
assistant.
assistant, because my baking assistant who's been with me since day one will become my like manager for the entire business. Kay I'll focus on the marketing and product development
You're good at
and
you're very good at
thank
marketing.
you, thank you.
That's why I
Um,
made you the first guest.
tabiansan.
You translate very well on camera at saka podcast.
Ganon. Bitaw, it's an honor. When we first met and you interviewed me, um, there's just one thing in my heart that I really want to share to Filipinos, and that's not to easily get discouraged. I know easier said than done, but I think the pandemic um, reset everything for everyone. Wala man siguro wala naapektuhan sa pandemic, no?
Yeah.
And the one thing I learned during this period good is you don't have to look far to start something new or to adapt into the situation. And I think it's a lot easy when you think of business from something that you like most. Like because you don't have to reinvent yourself. Whereas na naman na nimo, you just have to take time to understand yourself. Unsa man ang at assess nimo ba unsa man yung mga skill set nga natural nga mogawas nimo. And maybe it could be baking, it could be vlogging. Now people earn from vlogging. It could be like crafts, and then you integrated media and all like opportunities there. I think the challenge is consistency because I know that the world, labi na sa mga young ones, young professionals, um, it's like the other world is actually what you present in social media, diba? Off
Yes.
cam on cam, and I'm always in that motion. Who am I in front of you in social media and off cam, and which reminds me about I'm new to watercolor painting, but with all of the things that's happening, I realize na ko nga, it's important to know who you are deep down. So nagsugod ko anang um, watercolor journey, which I called to an audience of one, because to me, like watercolor is like an opportunity for you to reflect. It's like a reflective watercolor journey. That that question,
It's also a distressor.
yeah, that the hashtag Ma'am Georgie nga to an audience of one, it's literally asking yourself, what what do you do? Let's say there's nobody. Why audience ba? Wala social media. Do you still do the things that you like doing?
Even with no one looking.
Oh yes, yes, wala gatanaw. And as a Christian, I think we're in a predominantly Christian nation. I can really say that I'm a Christian man. So it's a spiritual reflection without combining watercolor. You express it in watercolor. Or you ask when you begin your watercolor day, you ask yourself, do you still do what you're doing even if nobody's watching? And it's just you and God. And God, you don't even see him in front of you. And so when you paint, kaning ako ang watercolor pieces nga naka-align ay nga message. You mostly see my watercolor pieces just defining like they're flowers, but I'm only defining one flower with three petals. All the rest are just hint. Um, because to me, it's important to distress and to process your here, whatever happens here and here. So most na isa sa mga butang na nahimo nako nga um, kuktanan ba while we get busier every day. And oh, here's one thing that I since stopped doing. I no longer watch news, by the way.
because it's
But
depressing.
yes, but also because there are other sources of news. And I must admit, I don't know, it's just me. I get the latest like events in Facebook. Di na ko mo to
Uh,
stations to watch the news. I just want like an idea
what's happening around
what's
me?
happened, like everybody's talking about what now. But like unlike before na 6 o'clock na magtanong na no, okay. It always leaves me discouraged and like heavy heart lang ba. And I find it effective for my personality na I don't thrive in chaos manggod. I would rather like pull all my energy, all the positivity in me, and it's continue doing what I like doing. And then when I want to be updated with news, that's it's like I don't want the media to dictate um, when I read news or when I want my news. I control my time. Like, magtanong ko news kung ganahan ako. And I don't watch TV like nighttime. Lagi kay,
it's not it's not hard news that you're watching. I'm
um,
sure mas ganahan kag mga positive news siguro
yeah,
rather than
I'm drawn to that. But I'm talking about like before sa pandemic, mura man og na mindset na ba na, schedule na ba na, mutalog yung news alas 6. Pero pag pandemic na kasi magbalik-balik, death, death,
kanang
death.
pila ang na-infected, pila ang death.
Yes. Kanya,
Mura
mura
ka depressing kay maminaw ka.
logically, hala no, madlook na ka. And I noticed since I stopped watching news, like the usual, how you call it, mascom ko pero nalimot ko, prime time news ba na? Prime time? Kaya usual na schedule ba? Ineffective siya sa ako because physically, mentally, emotionally, I'm drained after. So I made a decision na di na ko mutanaw og news. Mutanaw lang ko,
Concentrate on your baking.
ni mutanaw lang ko kung gusto ko mutanaw. Ay na siya. I
So
can,
so
mhm.
in a way murag ni na born ang imong bake sana kanang miss baked goodies during the pandemic because you want to concentrate on something positive. You want
Yeah,
to put something more positive in your life.
can put it that way. But
Also,
at the same time, nakita magud na ko nga there's some food can make anyone happy. So
ako,
nakita na ko
happy.
nakita
Ako,
na
you're
and
talking about me.
it started that way good nga during the pandemic ba nga where everybody it's so gloomy and everything seems to be like just heavy. So I one day I just realized no, bitaw no. I started baking for myself and family here, like my snacks and all. And then of course social media, you start posting. And then friends started to ask. I said, no, I'm not selling. But they don't stop. In fact, my baking business, I started selling
Lami
cake.
magutan-aon sa Facebook.
That's one thing I learned about sa KMME
You're
that
very good at photography, ha? It makes it look, I don't know. But
thank, thank
it
you.
doesn't just look good, ha? But it's also delicious.
Thank you. Akong tip good sa in fact all my images okay, here's
Did you
I think
study photography, by the way?
I had a subject on photography, and I'd like to mention my very good teacher. I studied in St. Teresa's. I had to mention my very good teacher advisor, Sir Bien Fernandez. He's my photography and film teacher, production teacher. I learned my basics sa kuan lang yun sa college as a subject. And
Top
I
subject
realized
siguro kaya mo, kay maayo man kay photography.
and I don't want to, I just enjoyed photography and video
What
production.
camera do you usually use? Cell phone or just
I was
really?
about to say na
Live
I only use
camera.
my phone, just phone.
Wow, really?
And here's a tip that I want. Um, let's not complicate life. More gid akong gusto. I keep on telling my husband like sa business na mo dere. Like if I want to post images, content for my social media, such as Artroom and my baking, I don't want to spend much time for long setup
Mm-hmm.
because phones nowadays, smartphones nowadays, is good enough for social media, but it's so if you want it printed. But come on, it's pandemic. You don't need prints like large
Yes.
form print. So this is an advice. Like if you are into food, I don't want to sound like knowledgeable enough. No, kay mag-upar ba ako sa food business, but I can speak out of my experience. Na when you do photography for food, you always ask yourself like you should angle the camera.
Mm.
You find a spot that makes where you can see your food like look appealing. It's appealing and it looks pleasant to you and you are happy. But number one tip is how to make it hassle free. Position yourself or your product near, just like where I'm at now, near a window where there's natural source of light. You don't have to have like those like,
Fancy,
no,
fancy studio
no.
light.
But if you have those, well, go ahead. Make use of your tools. But I learned that sa ako alang, I don't want to spend much time for the setup because I can do it just most of the time. I just use my phone. So when I bake, I have it on cooling rack. While they are cooling, I take time to like take pictures. Para dili na ako mag-bake og usab just for photo session. If you have friends who are professional photographers and would offer you for, well, say yes, kay libre man. Pero if you're on a tight budget, make use of the tools that you have on hand. Um,
Mm.
so then you find yourself starting already. Namag ko mga friends nga talk about business and then somehow when they start thinking, I want to do this business, but they start thinking, oh, what man ko ana, what man ko ani. If you, I don't know, but I just feel like if you start with that kind of mindset, it takes longer for you to start something because you begin by seeing what you don't have. You reverse it. You think of, oh, I have these.
Mm.
You start using what you have on your hand, then you will you'll see the change mindset and you'll just see the change. Okay, nagsugod man ka sa, uy na ako ani, then I can use this for this and that. But if you say, wala mong gugay yun ani, then
Oh.
you
Actually,
endless
mo
na.
na ang mga first time nga would-be entrepreneurs. Mingon sila nga, kuan murag lisod magud kayo na kay pangitaon pa nimong mga whatever nga mga materials ana. Murag ma-discourage na dahil sila because of that.
Mm-mm. The other one, gani, Ma'am Georgie, is um, the other thing that I learned about the KMME program is part of the change now is how, despite the Karon, you can have events and all, but how do you maintain like seamless, frictionless engagement with your customers? Mama
Mm.
na sa KMME we were asked that way, and I I think there's many ways to do that. Ang ako lang karon is take advantage of technology like Messenger, go where people are. Facebook
Mm.
Messenger. It's for as long as it's free, we make use of free tools for your business for good purpose. Daghan ng technology nga nanagid sa atong atubangan. Ang imuha lang siguro is you have to identify unsa ang need, and if you are in the customer service industry, you always remember that you are serving people. So when you choose technology to work for you, choose a technology where it's easy for people to understand. It does
Mm.
not go in circles. When you ask questions, don't, if you just want like delivery information, do not. And I always ask myself, how's my messaging like for my customer? Kaya usahay man good, like I am also a customer. So when I buy something, there's some businesses bang mura lamang kung naghimo
So
og
kay
ani.
tech kay daghan na kay
O yung mura lang ko, ay, then I lose interest na kay taas na kay kung pilapanan. So
no.
all I wanted is I just want to buy this and I want it delivered to this and I want to pay now. So generally, there are only three things that customers want, diba? So like for my business, I know that we have for this item, we have a website. They can go there and search products and
By
buy.
the way, kung order na silag ka ng, let's say, art materials, and how do they go about it, as well as katong imong baked goodies? How do
Ang
they order?
website, so they search Des Artroom, they browse
Ah,
products. Similarly sa Miss Ease, I was about to share ba nga, I wanted,
Facebook ka? Ato
no,
to Facebook group
website, not my website, but I
Tamis
learned
is.
from yes, I learned from KMME ba nga, you keep all doors open and then you have one place where everybody meets, and that's the website.
Mm.
Where everybody meets and stay there for as long as they want. Kaya at least on website, man, they can browse, you can, but of course, there's another level of discussion when we talk about how do you make sure that your website is interesting enough and people are engaged. Kay they lose interest kung we have website but ang layers of pages bitaw jumbled and malost ang interest sa tao. So what I'm saying is go where people are now online, and generally Facebook is one. Facebook, in fact, is good in the sense that have enabled a lot of tools. I think they ay nice session for Danny, and they make conversation engagement easy via Facebook. But when
One of
someone,
Facebook for engagement,
yes,
for
for engagement, so
conversation.
mura bag first door ba? Pero gusto nilang muli na full range of products, you can go for like ready image, which I don't have for now because I want them to go to the website.
Speaking of products, nanya yung mga interesado ba na naminaw,
Mhm.
what do you sell sa Des Arts Room o katong kuan Miss E's Bake Shop?
Sa Des Art Room, we have watercolor paints and brushes. So if you are into watercolor painting, and you want to use like professional grade, meaning materials or paints that will not easily fade. It's archival. The word archival means it would last for more than 90. It should be 90 years and above for
Mm.
professional use. Kung nag-commission na ka og watercolor, I would encourage you to use, do not compromise because you're being paid. You use professional grade materials. Don't use student grade. Like no offense to companies producing student grade materials. I just think that if you start right, you will go a long way. I can never overemphasize the need, that advice for artists ba, especially if you're doing commission work. Please have respect for your craft. It's one way, it's an expression of respect for your craft if you buy artist materials. Anyway, artist materials will, I would always say for artist materials, you only need less for more. Um, so you take time to study what's artist or student grade versus artist grade materials. So that's for Des Art Room. For Miss E's home baked classics, we have all about home baked cakes. Currently, we have two flavors. That's banana cakes. They come in loaf and squash. Um, this Christmas gani, our tagline is serve healthy and yummy this season. But my as a new company, Semis is my tagline has always been our cakes is best are best served when shared. Yeah. You have to share it, otherwise all the what? Carbo will go into your body.
At least you
Diba?
can share the carbo with
Yeah.
someone. You can
Best,
share the calories.
yes. So that's why it's best served when shared. Yeah, and we have social media accounts. You can check us out in Facebook. Just search for Das
How do
Arto.
they get in touch with you to end
Mes-
our to
Most
end our
likely you end up talking to me. So search
I
in
mean,
Facebook.
how do they get in touch with you for your business? I mean,
Ah,
they want to
search.
order.
Easy is to search our social media account, Facebook or Instagram. Facebook, just search for the arts. Des Artroom, DE apostrophe S Artroom. And for the home bake goodies, search Miss E's, E for Ethel. Miss E's home baked classics, and just leave us a message there. Yeah, I have a team also who will
Facebook.
assist.
That's how I
Yeah.
got in touch with you para sa akong kwan order.
Oh, by the way, yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned kay nagsugod na gyud ang orders dito labi na nga holiday. I mean, it's
No?
Christmas. We came up. Oh, if you let, please allow me, ma'am, to share siguro para lang
Okay.
to encourage everyone. So what we are doing at Miss Ease is we want everybody to, marabag ang buying public, we want to put meaning or make giving more meaningful. So ang sa Miss Ease, our inspiration, our creatives inspiration this season sa Christmas is about light, Christmas light. We needed light, especially sa itong panahon karon. So we thought our home baked classics, we want to see individuals who have served, who have shared light to you, to myself, like anyone you think of, friends, family members who have helped you one in one way or another, and in so doing they became your light. So our goodies are made for them, and our packaging is inspired from that image of Christmas light. So we have the star that symbolizes Christmas light. After all, Christmas is about fullness of life, okay? Because of Jesus' birth and because he came on earth, we all have fullness of life. So yeah, I thought it's good to share back.
I'm sure nagka-order nimo when they discover this interview nimo.
Kind of sad. And I want to say thank you to those who already placed their orders. We have like three groups of products, natay loaf cakes that comes in three loaves in a box, a trio in a box. Duna sa tay usa lang ka loaf, and with a new flavor we have in other words, the offer starts at 180 pesos for a half dozen of squash cupcakes. And then the next option is if you want to have a 1/8 inch loaf, and it starts from 190 a loaf. And then the good for family trio in a box. So in the trio in a box, we have the best, we combine the best selling flavors: cheese, cream cheese, walnut, banana and walnut, banana and cream cheese, banana and chocolate. But for Christmas alone, our Christmas delight flavor is a fusion of banana, which is a Filipino cake staple, and the flavor and aroma of cinnamon. To me, cinnamon is not so Filipino, but it's a nice fusion. So we have banana, cinnamon, and chocolate. That's our special flavor for Christmas.
It's also the top favorites of mga foodies.
Yeah, cinnamon, no? I don't know why, but Christmas seems to be like good to have cinnamon flavor. Yeah.
So that's it, Miss E. Thank you for giving your time for the interview. And also thank you to sa imong mga staff diha nga ni tabang nimo.
I have
And
two now.
bago na sila mo na ingingon nga bago.
Bago kining naa sa PCEs, because obviously I can't do it all by myself. And kining akong hiring number one, baking assistant kina siya kay I am mostly involved in baking man. I don't sit down and until the
Bago na
last.
siya sa recipe.
Yes and no, but I think no matter my principal man good, some may or may not agree. And I've asked this question to KMME. What, like, okay, principle first. My principle is really you don't own any single idea, because that idea is like an adaptation from one idea, and it just gets better and better when someone discovers it and tweak here and there. You copy all you want, just make sure that you do it better than myself. That's just my principle. Kay kadako sa kalibutan ba? Kopyahan lang niya. There's no way that you can do service the way I do. Kaya di man kita pareho, di ba? And
Mm. Ang
at KMME,
lahi-lahi man kada tao.
yun, yeah, the way you see things, the way you touch, you feel, it's different sa kada usa. So the more of us in the business, I don't know if it sounds strange, but the better. Para mas moangat ang ekonomiya nato ba. And again, in closing, I would encourage, especially my friends who are thinking of coming home for good or not. Maybe now is not the right time to like say, okay, I make a good final decision to come home. But if you want to think of business, I think you see, again, when I say this, I don't want to sound as if I'm like nasalang na sa business, but I'm just sharing out of experience ba na for a good start, you start with something that's very close to your heart. You don't have to look far, very far, for ideas, because it's a lot better if you start from within bitaw. You, when you open your hands, you see unsa may nakatulong sa akong kamot. If you're good in baking, you're good in hosting like sessions online, maybe start from there. And then technology wise, KMME shared a research about use of technology sa Filipinas. I think majority now have access to technology, not necessarily smartphones, but they have access to internet. And a good number is using smartphones. So make good use of your smartphones. Getting your smartphones, I think at an average you pay 7 to 13,000. Ang nagdiferensya na lang ana sa mga branded good is the quality of pictures, but what it can do in terms of functionality is the same. It can let you post real time, take pictures like in a matter of a minute. You're good to go in your social media. So make good use of your investment, because cell phones are investment. You don't just use it as like if you just want messenger, because messenger is just one of the many functions of a smartphone.
Gamit
Gamit
nila
na.
tomorrow.
Oh, I say the same thing to my sisters because they have good phones, but gamito na lang mo para messenger. So you don't really have to, but to each his own. That's one. And lastly, as my mentors would say, if this process now does not work, then change, adapt, and adapt. Yeah. Change until you see yourself aligning. Yeah.
The wisdom from Miss Ethel Rida Pajao.
Thank you
Thank you
again.
kayo for imo time. Again, thank you. Kay murag naurot na akong battery. Salamat gyud kayo, Miss Wiki.
Salamat, Sad. And I hope to see you again, maybe
Yeah, of
like
course.
early.
Para sa coloring.
Yeah. Hopefully po, pwede na ta misking by 3 lang, no? Maglingkod, mag-paint na. Kanya, face-to-face na good ba? But if not, then you're more than welcome to join sa ato ang virtual cafe. I'll be posting details soon.
Yeah, sure. Sige, thank you. Bye-bye.
Advance Merry Christmas.
Advance Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Thank you. Okay, ma'am.
Yeah,
Bye.
bye-bye.